Om Jananim Saradam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Shritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu. When we look at the lives of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda, and the Holy Mother, Ma Sarada, the first thing that strikes us about the Holy Mother's life is how ordinary it was. It was extraordinarily ordinary. Just like our lives of the rest of us. And sometimes I think, what would Ramakrishna have done if he were asked to do what the Holy Mother did? Look after a mad aunt and feed the women in the house, and the devotees were coming, and look after the monks and a bunch of greedy brothers and relatives, and the affairs of our own family, the affairs of the growing Ramakrishna order of monks, devotees, and so on and so forth. I think he would have flown into samadhi immediately. He wouldn't have done any of it. He would have gone into samadhi. And if Vivekananda had been asked to do that, instead of going all over the world and preaching Vedanta, go and stay in a remote village in Bengal and look after a bunch of extremely troublesome relatives and cut vegetables and look after the cows in the cow shed and then all of that. I think he would have made good on his promise. He always said that I want to go and meditate in a Himalayan cave. He would have run off to a Himalayan cave. But the Holy Mother did all that. And I think one reason is that among all of them, she was the one who played a role which was exactly like our lives. You see, how many such characters do we know, like Ramakrishna, who goes into ecstasy, who lives in this constant communion with God and preaches God through example and his own teachings? How many do we know like Vivekananda? And how many can be like Vivekananda or like Ramakrishna? Their circumstances were extraordinary and they are not replicated. But what is replicated is our ordinary life. And that's what the Holy Mother did. She demonstrated all those teachings. How can we apply it to our own lives, our common workaday lives? How do we apply that? How do we make our own lives blessed? But because of that, she's also difficult to catch. The person I've seen in spiritual life among the monks and also devotees, it's usually people are attracted by Swami Vivekananda. And then after some time they come to understand Sri Ramakrishna. And I've seen it's only after a lot of maturity in spiritual life that they go from Ramakrishna to Holy Mother. So in the final stages of spiritual life, they actually take refuge in the Holy Mother. Swami Turiyananda, the last several years of his life, it was mother, mother, mother all the way. I just heard from Swami Mahayogananda today how Swami Jagadishwarananda or Jagadananda, who was regarded as a Brahmagyani, who would always say Hari Om. Guru Atulananda ji. Oh, Atulananda, Guru Das Maharaj, who would always say Hari Om, but towards the end of his life he would say Ma. So, as we become more mature in spiritual life, we go from Swamiji to Sri Ramakrishna. I've seen that practically in the lives of many people, to the Holy Mother finally. In Belur Math, I have seen Sri Ramakrishna's temple is so big and it's the center around which everything is arranged. But the Holy Mother's temple is more popular. It's a small temple, but you always find people there praying, meditating, just sitting there, crying, or gossiping. But sitting there, they're sitting all around. Always, Holy Mother's temple, some people will always be there. One day, I was just walking towards Holy Mother's temple, and just by the way, I was thinking, From God's point of view, how does God look upon us? What would God's point of view be towards us? And in front of me, Holy Mother's temple was there, and immediately the answer came. Of course, God would look upon all of us as children. We are the children of God, His children or her children. So the motherhood of God is primary. In fact, from God's point of view, all of us are her children. In all religions, God is defined as the creator of the universe. That from which the universe is born, that in which the universe exists, and that unto which the universe finally returns. So God is the mother, and the Holy Mother was first and foremost a mother. That's the thing which comes to us through all the stories we were listening to just now. Swami Arupananda, who was her long-time attendant, who stayed with her for a very long time, her disciple, he says, he has a very beautiful reminiscence in which he says that when he first came to meet the Holy Mother, to take initiation from her, the first thing he saw was the first time he saw the Holy Mother. She was standing in her house in Jairambati in the village, and the tender look she had on her face when she looked at him. Now, Arupananda had lost his mother as a young child. So he saw the mother and somehow felt that this is my mother. And that's something, he said that lasted with him all his life. The first day he saw her and the first look that he gave her, that she gave him, that what she looked at him. And he had a very interesting conversation with her. He asked her, "Are you really the mother of all?" She said, "Yes." "You're really the mother of all?" She said, "Yes." "Even these birds and beasts and insects?" She said, "Yes, even these." And then he asked that, "If they are your children, why do they suffer so much?" And she said, this birth is like that. The animal birth is like that they have to go through these experiences, but they are my children. And it was practically so. In the household, whether it is the cows or the cat or the parrot, they all felt that the Holy Mother loved them. They responded to her in a special way. There was a cat, and the cat was mischievous. It would go around and stealing food here and there and create a lot of mischief in the household. But it found protection at the feet of the Holy Mother. And when anybody would be angry with the cat, somebody's coming to beat the cat or something, she would protect the cat. And she said, it's the nature of the cat. Where will it get food? That's why it steals food. You should feed the cat so that it won't steal food. Now, once one monk who was tired of the cat's mischief actually hit the cat, beat up the cat, and the Holy Mother was so hurt. She said, "Don't beat it. Feed it so that it won't steal food." And to make sure that the monk would not beat the cat in her absence, she said, "I live in that cat. I am there." I think she made sure forever that nobody would touch the cat again. But what's interesting, this is the story which has been repeated so many times, but there's a side to this story which is really very touching. She would herself be strict with the cat sometimes. Cat, when it was particularly mischievous, she would threaten to beat it. She would do like that. "I'm going to beat you." And the cat's reaction was very interesting. The cat would be sitting at her feet and looking up at her, and when she would threaten to beat the cat would, with the big eyes staring at her, would crawl even closer to her feet. Somehow I think the cat represents all of us. Yes, she was the mother for everybody. She never refused anybody. And she protected everybody. In Belur Math once, what happened was, Swami Vivekananda was there in Belur Math, and it had newly been set up. There were a few workers, and one of the workers was caught stealing something from the monastery. And Swami Vivekananda turned him out and said, "You're dismissed from service." He was a very poor man. What could he do? He went across the river to Calcutta and went straight to Mother's house. and told her everything. That day Baburam Maharaj Swami Premananda was visiting mother's house, and the Holy Mother said to Baburam Maharaj, this man is very poor, what will he do? Narain Vivekananda has thrown him out of his job. Tell him to take him back, say that I said so. And Baburam Maharaj said, but Narain will be furious if I return with this person whom he's driven out. The Holy Mother just said, tell him I said so. That's all. Now Baburam Maharaj was anxious, so he came back to the mutt with that worker. And as he was entering the gate, whom would he see but Swami Vivekananda? Vivekananda saw them and said, look what Baburam has done. He's got that fellow back again. And Baburam Maharaj said, but the Holy Mother said, he went to the Holy Mother, and Holy Mother said, we should take him back. And the man was scared of Vivekananda, of course, but Vivekananda burst out laughing and he said, oh, you went straight to the High Court. Now I can't do anything. So he was taken back. She didn't refuse anybody. One day, one of our close women devotees, attendants, said, we have seen Sri Ramakrishna and we are seeing you. I think Sri Ramakrishna loved us more than you do. And he loved the devotees more than you do. And the Holy Mother said, what is there to be wondered at? Sri Ramakrishna selected his disciples so carefully. He would accept only a few, and that too after so many tests. And for me, she said, he has sent me a queue of ants. All the giants he took. And for me, there are these ants. Truly, she never refused anybody. The main form of her showing her grace was initiating, giving mantra diksha, transmitting spiritual power to people. She was Jnanadayini, the giver of spiritual knowledge and liberation. Now there were these three devotees whom Swami Brahmananda in Belur Math refused to initiate. And he said, you can go to the Holy Mother in Jairamati. If she wants, she can initiate you, but I can't initiate you. Maybe their karma was so bad. You see, the enlightened masters take upon themselves the karma of the devotees. And it depletes their spiritual power. And it hurts them also. They get various kinds of diseases of the body. Holy Mother said that Sri Ramakrishna never committed a sin in his life, and yet he suffered from cancer and terrible pain because it's a kind of vicarious atonement, where he took upon himself the sins of the devotees and spared them the suffering that was their due and gave them a boost in spiritual life. It's not just for sparing us the suffering, it frees us up for spiritual life. One effect of bad karma is we do not make progress in spiritual life. It's one of the signs of bad karma. So an enlightened master, and of course somebody like the Holy Mother or Sri Ramakrishna could do that. That's why Swami Brahmananda refused. He could see what was in store for those three devotees. When those three devotees came, somebody told the Holy Mother, 3 persons have come. They have been sent by Swami Brahmananda for initiation. And the Holy Mother saw them and she said, she refused. She refused. And they were shocked. And the Holy Mother said to the others, children, a son sends good things to his mother from when he goes abroad or somewhere else. They get good presents and send it. And look what Rakhal has sent me. This is what he sends me. But when the devotees heard about this, they were sitting outside. They were sitting there and weeping. They asked again. She turned them down. 3rd time she agreed. And she initiated them. And when they went back and they reported this in Belur Math, this was reported to Swami Brahmananda. At that time, Swami Brahmananda was sitting facing the Ganges on a bench. Swami Brahmananda was there, Swami Saradananda, Swami Premananda. I think Swami Turiyananda also was there. Shivanandaji was there probably. When they heard this, that those 3 devotees have been initiated, they all kept quiet. A silence descended upon them. Swami Brahmananda was very grave, and Swami Premananda said, grace, grace. What poison would have reduced us to ashes, the Holy Mother, it takes it in, assimilates it without a murmur. Of course, for us, we don't have that sight, so it doesn't seem to make much difference. Just 1 more person or 3 more persons. But what is there in the past? You see, these persons can see. Sri Ramakrishna says to Master Mahashai, tell me, suddenly a mood comes upon him, tell me, I know all about your past and your future. Do I not? What a strange thing to say. But Master Mahashai immediately, with his hands folded, he says, yes, you do. So that's the nature of such, of the avatar. Let alone an enlightened guru, let alone an avatar. An enlightened guru can also do that, but avatar is, of course, a different grade altogether. So she would initiate. She initiated everywhere. She initiated not only in the shrine, she initiated people in her room, she initiated people on the road, on a railway platform. Once she was going and this porter, railway porter, saw her standing there and he did not know her. And she did not know him. Nobody, they didn't know each other, this party. And he burst out crying and he ran to her and fell at her feet and said, "Oh, Mother Janaki," means Mother Sita. Janaki is Sita. How long I have waited for you. Where have you been all these days? And she was not perturbed. She called him and right there on the railway platform initiated him. Now this is very evocative especially for the Hindu mentality, because Sita and Rama is the incarnation, Sita was his Shakti, and the Rama incarnation, the Krishna incarnation, and the Ramakrishna incarnations. So we believe that Sri Ramakrishna is the incarnation of God, and the Holy Mother is the incarnation of the Divine Mother, the Shakti of God. So when this poor, uneducated, probably illiterate porter, who does not know her, just looks at her and says, "You are my Mother Sita, my Mother Janaki," you can see what kind of resonance it sets up. So she initiated everywhere. And she would never turn anybody down. And as we heard, how she loved feeding people. But there was a difference between her and the ordinary human mother also. At a moment's notice, she could assume her divine nature that would shine through, and it was awesome, even scary at times. For example, same Swami Arupananda. He was a monk, an attendant of the Holy Mother, and once he was helping to construct the Holy Mother's house, new cottage in Jairambati. And the Holy Mother's brothers, the relatives, some of them were pretty greedy. They were poor and they were also greedy. They knew that these rich people from Calcutta come to our sister and they give money to our sister, so they would always go to her for money. And they kept on pestering Swami Arupananda that you're making all these improvements to the house, why don't you do something for us or give us this amount of money or that amount of money? And then finally he got disgusted. And he thought, I've come to be a monk, what is all this? And he went to the Holy Mother and said, Mother, the uncles, that means her brothers, they're so greedy, they're so worldly, and they keep pestering me for this. And this is not really why I have come to become a monk, So I decided I won't do this work anymore. I'm not going to do this kind of work. And he thought maybe the Holy Mother would maybe encourage him or do something about it. She stood there. The description is she was standing there on her cottage, little raised platform, with her hand on one of the bamboo poles which supported the cottage. And the description is that she had a very strange, faraway expression on her face. She was not really responding to his query. You won't work. You won't do my work. Don't do the work. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. And at that time, Arupanji looked, and I heard this from Chetananji, that he saw a divine halo around her. She didn't look like this simple old village woman. She looked like a goddess-like light shone from her, and a very far away look in her eyes. And immediately he fell at her feet and he said, No, I will do the work. And I'll do what you ask me to do. See, Jesus has said that ye that are heavy laden, come unto me, for my yoke is light. See, often we complain. What God puts us under is for our own good, entirely for our own good. And we do not know what will benefit us spiritually. The Lord knows what will benefit us spiritually. The Holy Mother knows what will benefit us spiritually. So she makes us do exactly what is necessary for her, entirely for our own benefit. But we complain. We do not understand. Once a devotee who had taken initiation from her kept on complaining, I'm making no progress in spiritual life. I'm repeating the mantra, but no progress. When will I have a vision of the master? And she kept on encouraging him once, twice, thrice. And one day he came, and as usual he was complaining. I don't make any progress in spiritual life. Look, I'll return your mantra. I'm going to give your mantra back. And she, of course, said, what are you saying, my son? She said, no, I'll return your mantra. I don't want to do this anymore. I'll return your mantra. And when he said that, suddenly a different mood overtook Holy Mother. And she said, all right, give me back the mantra. You don't have to do anything anymore. Now a great fear seized that man. Suddenly he was terrified. He said, Mother, what have you done? Shall I go to hell then? And she immediately said, hell? My children, even Brahma has no power to send my children to hell. Of course he will not go to hell. And of course she again reassured him, and I don't think she took the mantra back from him. There was another incident, a lesser known incident, a similar kind, where this person took initiation and then kept on, he was a little eccentric. He kept on importuning her, give me the vision of Sri Ramakrishna, give me the vision of Sri Ramakrishna. And she said, you will get it at the right time. Keep on practicing. But he wouldn't. One day he came in a fit of rage, he flung the rosary at her. And she said, take it back, I don't want this anymore. She kept quiet. That man went away and he actually became insane. But much later I read that he recovered by her blessings again. So she could suddenly, we shouldn't think that the Holy Mother is a big softie, that anything goes with her. No, it actually doesn't. But she could transform herself from a very ordinary, loving, very affectionate mother to something very awesome. Chandra, this young man, very simple young man, whom the Holy Mother loved a lot, who did a lot of errands for the house in Calcutta, the ashram there. And he loved to eat also. And Holy Mother, that's a very good partnership, because Holy Mother loved to feed people. And so he would go up to her and ask for prasad, and she would give him a lot of prasad, offered food. Now one day a senior monk of the order said to him, look, the Holy Mother is so affectionate towards you. Why do you so foolishly go and ask for prasad, for a couple of sweets, and you're satisfied with that? She gives you that and you're satisfied with it. And this young man was very simple. What should I ask for? And this monk put him up to it. He said, next time you go and meet her, and she says, what do you want? Say, I want liberation, moksha. I want liberation. And he said, okay, I can do that. I can do that right away. And he ran upstairs where the Holy Mother was sitting for puja. Now, as he approached her room, that's his description, as he approached her room, a great fear seized him. And by the time he came and stood in front of her, she was sitting for puja, he was absolutely terrified. And Holy Mother was sitting for puja, she turned around and looked up at him. What do you want? And at that moment, he couldn't say anything. And she asked again, he said, prasad, I want a prasad. And she said, it's there, take it. And he came back. He couldn't ask for that. But she was very loving. Chandra, was very close to her. Fasting. Once some puja was there, everybody was fasting, and Chandra couldn't bear the idea of fasting. But everybody was. So, I remember when I joined the order, on Shivaratri. It was a school, so everybody was fasting. And this young man who was a teacher of the school, maybe in his 20s or something, he had never fasted earlier, but he was very inspired. So he went up to a senior monk who was in charge of all these arrangements and said, Swami, today I'm going to fast. I'm not going to eat anything today for Shivaratri. And the Swami turned at him and said, aren't you ashamed? All those little boys are fasting and you're asking that I'm going to fast. So Chandra was very troubled. And Holy Mother knew this. The Holy Mother called him and said, why don't you eat? Here is some prasad is there, you eat. And then Chandra said, I've been fasting all day with great difficulty. Now if I eat, all the merits of the fasting will be lost. And the mother smiled and said, I am fasting and all those merits will be yours. So you can eat, no problem. and he actually ate. The Holy Mother transmitted power through Diksha. She used to say that Sri Ramakrishna has said to me that all those who come to you, I shall come for them in the last hour of their life, at the end of their lives, at the point of death, I shall come for them and take them, I shall lift them up. And she would assure them, if not in this life, but at the end of this life, you will all have the vision of God. She would tell many of them that this is your last life. Do whatever you will. But she would say that if you want to enjoy spiritual life, if you want to actually feel the joy of spiritual life, if you want to feel ecstatic love for God, then you have to do spiritual practices. You have to do spiritual practices. But otherwise, you've taken initiation from me and it's done. So at the end of your life, Sri Ramakrishna will come. Often she said, this is the end for you, this is the last life. Swami Nikhilananda once asked, though it's not exactly what it means, not that it'll be last life for everybody. Swami Nikhilananda once asked Swami Sarada, what did the Holy Mother mean that those who take initiation from her, this is their last life? So is it everybody, all of them, is it their last life? He himself had taken initiation from her, Swami Nikhilananda. And he tells the story in a very funny way. I think it's Swami Brahmananda or somebody told him to take initiation from the Holy Mother. And he said, who is Holy Mother? And he got a big scolding from me. At that time she was not well known and it was actually deliberately kept very low key and secret. So he asked Swami Saradananda, what does it mean that the last life? Will it really be the last life? Not many of them are not really all that spiritual or highly spiritually attained. And Swami Saradananda told him that in many cases, yes, it is their last life. In many cases, in some other cases, it is not their last life, but very soon, in one or more life, they will be liberated. Whereas in the case of all others, there is no saying when it will happen. It may take many, many lives more. The Holy Mother, in fact, she herself said the importance of spiritual practices to her own disciples. She said that those who do spiritual practices, they get to eat first. That means they get liberated. The food stocks are there. If you go and cook, you get to eat. If you waste the entire day playing around and you do not cook, then you will not eat for a long time, till evening. And she says this is exactly what it is. Those who do spiritual practices, those who practice the mantra, they will get liberation. They will get the joy of spiritual life in this very life. And she made it even more clear. She said the criterion is desirelessness. She asked somebody, if you pray to the master, Sri Ramakrishna, what would you pray for? And that person said, well, whatever they had read in books. I pray for discrimination, vivek, I pray for dispassion, vairagya. And she said, Holy Mother said to them, no. Somebody like Naren, Vivekananda could ask for such things. You ask for desirelessness, nirvashana. He said, those who are desireless, who give up all desire for the world, right now they will get the vision of God. Right now. Without desire, if desire is there, then many more births will be there. Without desires, you get liberation right away. It's very interesting that this very doctrine, in simple words, she would express something very deep. The core of Vedanta is Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. God alone is real, Brahman alone is real, the world is an appearance. This very truth itself, the Holy Mother expressed in this way, that as far as the world is concerned, be desireless. As far as God is concerned, want only one thing, that is to realize God. And she says to realize God, to think about God, to contemplate God, and to remain immersed in the joy and in ecstatic love of God. That is the goal of life. She says that is the purpose of life. The purpose of life is God realization. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Brahman alone is real, the world is an appearance. This world is an appearance means this world properly understood is Brahman. Brahman misunderstood is this world. So there are not two realities. She put it in this way. She said, love people for the sake of the people. Love a human being for the sake of the human being, you will suffer. Love God. And of course you love all human beings through God. Then you will always be in joy. Nobody ever has suffered by loving God. She says that. By loving God, nobody gets dukkha. If you love a human being as a human being, you're bound to suffer one day. So this simple truth, which she says, it reflects a much deeper Advaitic truth. The immanence and transcendence of God. Brahman is right here, but not. This world is an appearance of Brahman. The appearance has to be seen through. The main teaching she gave, of course, was japa. She emphasized that very much. Repetition of the names of God. She said the name of God is a very powerful practice. She said, just as winds drive away clouds, the wind drives away clouds, in the same way, repeating the name of God drives away the clouds of worldliness from our mind. You see, we often feel that we are not ready for spirituality. We are too worldly, or maybe we have desires, or we are guilty of some things that we do in life. It's like a person who is feeling very cold and is thinking that, let me become warm and then I'll go near the fire. I'm not warm enough to go near the fire. Fire is so warm and I'm so cold. It's just the other way around. If I feel cold, I should go near the fire. In the same way, the name of God is that which gives us spiritual warmth in our lives. And she gave so many instructions, very practical instructions. She said, just like the ticking, the hands of a clock, a ticking clock, in that quiet, rhythmic, regular way, you should repeat the mantra. Such a powerful little example, which you cannot forget, like the ticking of a clock. When people would come and complain, worldly problems, or that we have not realized God, or whatever, she said, I can't bear it anymore. They keep coming and complaining, but they don't do anything. And she said, let them repeat the mantra, wait for it, 20,000 times a day. 15 or 20,000 times a day. She repeated her mantra 100,000 times a day. Let them repeat the mantra 15 or 20,000 times a day. And then let them come and see. And they say that they don't get peace of mind. Let them repeat it. They repeat the mantra and let me see how they do not get peace of mind. They will get peace of mind. In the midst of all her troubles, she demonstrated that. Sri Ramakrishna and she herself, she said once, very interesting thing she would say, like a spiritual practice. She said, if you contemplate upon Sri Ramakrishna, how, though he himself was sinless, took upon himself the sins of others and suffered pain for their sake, and in the midst of that pain, she says, while suffering pain by taking up the sins of others, he, for not one moment, was he away from or was he disconnected from the bliss of God, bliss of divine communion. Always he was immersed in the bliss of divine communion in the midst of a life where he suffered for the sake of others. And she says, if you think about this, your mind will be purified. Chitta Shuddhi will come if you think about Sri Ramakrishna taking upon himself the sufferings of others, and yet in the midst of that suffering remaining completely immersed in divine bliss. She herself was like that. She herself, in spite of all the troubles in her life, she said, Dukkho ki ami janina. In Bengali she used to say that, I do not know what suffering is. I have never suffered in my life. What a remarkable statement to make. The most ordinary of lives, we are back full circle, the most ordinary of lives with all kinds of troubles that a woman in her society, in her time, would have faced. Much more than that. Facing all of that, and she says, I have never really suffered in my life. I have no sorrow in my life. Dukkho ki janina. He said that Sri Ramakrishna put a picture of bliss in my heart. My heart is always overflowing with bliss. If we contemplate that, I think, that also purifies our minds, that the real possibility of spiritual illumination and transformation of life, overcoming of suffering and attainment of bliss, We read these things in Vedanta books. Atyantika dukkha nivritti paramananda praptischa. This is a big Sanskrit phrase. Complete transcendence of suffering and attainment of divine bliss. This is the purpose of life. But we see exactly how it is demonstrated to such a great degree in the life of Ma Sharada. And we contemplate that and we get some of that ourselves. So thank you very much. Namaskar.